Hi, this was intended to be a single video. Turns out I needed to break it into three pieces. The first deals with competition by an overcall. The second, competition via a takeout double. And the third, a history of one of the things that happens that responder can use, a tool, a conventional tool, after a takeout double, the Jordan Truscott or Truscott Jordan 2-no trump convention. So this has become a three-piece video, and this is section 1. So let's just start out with a simple 2-level overcall by your right-hand opponent. It's not any jumps involved. It's just basically saying I have a hand with some good hearts, at least 5 of them, and some good point count, at least 10 of them. And probably half of them are in the heart suit unless I've got a really super hand. Generally speaking, an overcall is from 8 to about 16 points in value, and it just depends on how you define points. I like to look at length points, and I also look at my quick tricks when I figure out whether or not I want to overcall. And most people have similar ways of doing things. But we'll just figure that this is generally between 8 and 16 high card points, occasionally light depending on circumstances. So anyway, that's what your right-hand opponent has done. Now, what do you do with this hand? Well, let's take a look at it first and see how it values. You have 3 high card points in spades, plus 3 in clubs is 6. And so you'd probably just make a simple raise, right? If that was all you had, and in this case it's going to be, then yes, simple raises are still on. And it doesn't matter whether you're a white belt, a green belt, a yellow belt, or a black belt. It's going to be the same pretty much. Now, there are some agreements which we'll look at at the green belt level that kind of can play around with this some. But mostly, a simple raise is a simple raise is a simple raise. And so, since you can't quite get to the limit raise level with this hand, even though you do have primary 4-card spade support, probably discretion would indicate that you just give partner a little bump here. So we'll just go to 2 spades and go here, and go here, and there we go. So you can kind of see, North kind of had a super minimum, 2 quick tricks, 5-card spade suit, and decided that that hand was worth opening 1 spade. Might be a little light. 4, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He's counting every point in the deck that he has in there. He looked at his 10s and said, well, I've got 2 10s and a 9. And that jack might be worth something, so why not? It's my turn. And sometimes people open on what you might consider trash, but in the duplicate world, it's done all the time, especially if the vulnerability conditions are right. So anyway, that's what happened. Here's where it's going to start getting a little tricky. In this case, you have limit raise values. You have 2 aces and a queen, so that's 10 high card points. You also have a couple of doubletons, which gives you up into the 12-point raise and support. You have 4 pieces in the heart suit which your partner opened, so that's primary support. This hand is almost too good for a limit raise, but we'll say it's limit raise in value for now. Now, previously, you would treat this the same way that you would treat it if it went 1 heart past your turn. You would bid 3 hearts as a limit raise. You might want to continue to still do that. You need to consult with your teacher if you are in a supervised class, and find out if your class is still at the level where 1 heart, 2 an overcall, 3 of opener suit is still a limit raise, or if you're going to play that in competition as weak blocking. That is the norm these days. 1 heart, 2 diamonds, 3 hearts is considered a competitive bid that gets you where you need to go, but also says you're reasonably weak and you're bidding to the combined value of the 2 hands, which you assume to have a 9 card fit between opener and you. And so 1 heart, 2 diamonds, 3 hearts stops being a limit raise and starts being a competitive, preemptive type of bid. And I'm looking at some notes right now, and this is fairly common. Most folks play the competitive jumps to the 3 level tend to be 4 to 7-ish, and they do guarantee 4 card support for a major, probably 5 card support for a minor at least, if you even play them that way in the minors. I'm not going to dwell on minors because most folks eventually will shift to inverted minors and do other things. But for right now, I'm going to leave it up to you and your instructor and the rest of the group that you normally play in. If you play in a social game or rubber bridge game, whether just for fun or for money, that group will kind of have standards on what bids mean, and just defer to that. But for my purposes, I'm going to say that 1 heart, 2 diamonds, 3 hearts is a competitive preemptive raise. So what do we do with this limit raise hand? Well, we use a Q bid, just like they might have, and bid 3 diamonds. And this doesn't say, oh, they're all wed, I've got all the diamonds. Oh no, no. First of all Q bids are always forcing for 1 round. Never, ever, ever pass your partner in a Q bid if you want to keep that partner. If you want to get rid of that partner, find an excuse to pass him in a Q bid. You won't have that partner very long. So what does this say? It says I have a limit raise or better in your heart suit, and I have more likely than, I have at least 3 card support. We'll define it better later. If I have a game raise or anything like that, I'm probably going to show that by ending up putting you in the hearts at the 4 level. And we'll just see what this looks like. I'm going to go back and open up all the hands right now. And there we go. So now you can kind of see, you might look at that, and if you're an avid point counter and you look at the north hand, 4 and 3 are 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh boy, that's really a minimum. Well, not really. You've got 1, 2.5 quick tricks and a 6 card heart suit and a stiff. So even though you probably don't want to count the jack as a high card point, Um, Once the fit has been found, you can upgrade that based on its shortness value. But you can only count partner for 3-card heart support here so far, so don't get too excited. Anyway, that's showing a limit raise or better using a Q bid. If you want to play it the other way, you would never use a Q bid. You would simply jump to 3 hearts over the interference to show the good limit raise hand. I really don't recommend it. I recommend you immediately begin using this practice because this is pretty much standard these days. It's what you're going to run into. This time our opponent has overcalled 1 spade, and we have our limit raise values. Only 3 cards support though here. Now again, you have options at this point. You could simply make a 3-card limit raise or better bid by bidding 2 spades. But there's a better way to do this, and that is by bidding 2 diamonds if it's forcing in your system. In standard, a new suit by responder is forcing after an overcall as well as had an overcall not occurred. A lot of people play new suits as non-forcing and constructive, or not even constructive. Don't worry about what that means for now. But some people will play it non-forcing. If that is the case, under current conditions, it still needs to be alerted because it's not standard. Right now, this bid, if I didn't know anything else and hadn't discussed it with you, I would consider it forcing if you made it. So let's go on and see what happens next. The left-hand opponent is going to be nice and pass. And now North is going to say, gee whiz, I happen to have 6 of those hearts and I'm on a minimum. I didn't do any jumping around. I know your bid was forcing, but I'm not doing anything other than just saying I still have my minimum, but I do have 6 hearts, and if I only have 5, then I don't have anything else I can do. I can't raise your diamonds, can't bid no trump. I'm just kind of stuck for a bid. That would be the excuse if opener only had 5. But when you see bidding like this, play opener for 6. So right-hand opponent has said all that can be said. What in the world is my silly partner doing over there? First he bid diamonds and now he's bidding hearts. Oh, must have a limit raise in hearts. If he had a game raise in hearts, he'd have put me in game. But he didn't. He just bid 3. And I didn't ask him for a preference, so it can't be that. Must be the limit raise with only 3-card hard support. This is how I think you should play this. I want to tell you that there's no real such thing as standard here. A lot of people play the immediate Q bid to show a hand with 3-card support and limit raise no matter what. I like knowing right away that my 3-card or that my limit raises mean 4-card support if I just go right to them. And so I have ways of showing the 3-card support. And I think most players, especially at the green belt level, which you're aspiring to at the moment, which is the intermediate plus level, will play it this way. Right now you're at the yellow belt level, so could go either way depending on your teacher and or your pod. If POD, if you have one. Well, let's see what happens next. Well, before we do that, I thought I'd show you the whole hand. By the way, since we're doing this, look at that overcall. Would you make that overcall? Vulnerable? I would. King, Queen, 10, fifth. So sometimes with the right suit strength, an overcall can go down to 5 points. That's why when we make out our card, we put occasionally light. We check that box. I'll make these overcalls all day, vulnerable or not. Now, if I'm vulnerable and they're not, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious. But at equal vulnerability, vulnerable or not, I'm going to make this overcall because I want partner as a minimum to know where I live in this hand. And I live in spades if I'm your right-hand opponent. Thought I would point that out. And we'll see the opposite of that in the next hand. Okay, this time you are the dealer, and hopefully you would pass with that hand. You did in this case. West passed and your partner opened a diamond, 1 diamond. Right-hand opponent overcalled 1 spade, and it's your turn. Now, this is another interesting situation. I know you just love that. But this is a negative double type of auction. In other words, the first thing that you need to do here is look to see if you have 4 cards or 5 cards in the heart suit. If you do, that showing that takes precedence over supporting your partner's diamonds. It kind of works the same way as if it went 1 diamond pass your turn. You're not going to support diamonds if you have a 4-card major. In this case, your opponent has basically taken out the spades for you. So the only one you really have to worry about here is hearts. And you don't have them. So now you're free to do something else. I would not consider no trump with this collection. 4 and 2 are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kind of the bare minimum for a 1 no trump bid here. I just wouldn't do it since I have support for partners diamonds. Even though I'm flat, I would be wanting to show my diamond support rather than bid a no trump here. Wouldn't fault you if you bid 1 no trump, but it's not what I would do. But the key here is to make sure that you don't fail to make a negative double in order to show support for your partner's opening bid. If it's possible that you have because it's still possible that your partner would have 4 hearts over there. So if you had 4 hearts, you would miss a 4-4 fit if you failed to make a negative double. Now, if all this talk about a negative double is over your head, I'm really sorry. Somewhere along the line, somebody should have taught you about that. But just so that you can catch up, the very next playlist after this one is on negative doubles. I did that for a reason. So anyway, I'm going to have you right now. By the way, if you were to bid 2 diamonds here, it would show a single raise. You have more than that. So again, this is the iffy part of this thing. I would bid 2 spades here, the limit raise, or the Q bid rather, showing a limit raise or better in the diamond suit. If your teacher says, oh no, we're not to that point yet, then you can bid 3 diamonds here, which in your pod would be a limit raise in diamonds. In my pod, it's a preemptive bid and I would alert it. So depends, and I wish I could give you a straight answer on this, but I really can't. I think your teacher has to define, or your pod membership has to define how y'all treat this. And there really isn't a standard on this anymore. So you have to kind of work it out. Let's see the whole hand, and then I'm going to take a break. Come on. There you go. So, before we take our little break here, and I think we need one, I certainly do. It's a lot of material to digest, guys. Don't expect, if you're fairly new at this, to just go romping through this and figure you'll get it all the first time. I don't think so. I certainly wouldn't have. But at any rate, I want you to see the spade suit again here. Remember last time we had King, Queen, 10, 5th, and out, right? This time we've got a hand and a suit that are so good that we're right on the cusp as East to a double over one diamond. Now, that's not a real takeout double. It's one of those max takeout doubles. It's a huge takeout double, the big double, whatever you want to call it. Really good hands almost always start with a double or a redouble. You just need to remember that. If you do anything else, you must have a pretty good reason for it. Here we have 4 through 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So what did we say our normal overcall range was? Well, about 8 to 16. And here you have it. If you put one of those hearts in the diamond suit, I think you're too good to just make a simple overcall. You would have to double first, and then at your next turn bid spades, which basically cancels the double. It says, yeah, partner, I know you think I made a regular takeout double, but this is the big double. This is the hand that I would open and jump in. You know, that kind of strength hand. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. So pay attention, partner. When I double and then make an unforced bid again, I have a good suit in the suit that I'm bidding and a great hand. Wake up, partner. That's what that says. And so that we all can wake up, I'm going to put a stop to this at the moment and say it's break time, and we'll come back in a few minutes. Please take a break. Okay, hope you enjoyed your coffee break, and here we are back with ourselves being first act again, and we passed. Our left-hand opponent passed. Our partner opened one diamond, and our right-hand opponent overcalled one heart. And it's now our turn, and I'm letting you see all these hands at once, because I think it's too difficult to discuss this unless you do. So what are we going to do over one heart? Well, do we have limit raise values? Let's see, 5, 5 or 10, 11, going from left to right. And so that's limit raise values. Do we have support for diamonds? Yep, it only requires 4 because we assume our partner opened with a 4-card or longer diamond suit, unless the bidding tells us that it was one of those 4-4-3-2 hands that come up not so frequently, unless you're doing this type of thing. So anyway, partner has opened a diamond, and we should go ahead and make a limit raise in diamonds, right? Wrong. Remember I told you about the need to check your other major? Well, let's go look at, let's see, they bid hearts, so we ought to be looking at spades. Oh my goodness, we have 4 of them. That means I cannot make a limit raise in diamonds. I have to do something else so that I can show my 4 spade cards. So should I just go ahead and bid spades the way I would if it went one diamond pass? No. We have this thing called a negative double available. If I were to bid spades right now, I would be absolutely, positively, for sure, take it to the bank, showing 5 or more of them. I don't have 5, I only have 4. But I do have a negative double available. Notice it is not alerted. In the old days when I was coming up, this was called Sputnik. This was devised by Al Roth when he was playing with Toby Stone. And who knows whether Toby actually figured this out and Al grabbed it. You never know about these things. But Al Roth is, it's attributed to him anyway. And I think it's fair to do that. At any rate, in those days, it was so unusual that it was alertable and you had to take about an hour and a half to explain it. Now it's so normal that if that double meant anything other than negative double, it would have to be alerted. So anyway, we've made our negative double, and who knows what's going to happen here. Everybody's vulnerable. My partner has made, if I'm west, my partner east has made a vulnerable overcall. So I'm expecting a hand that looks about like the one he's got. I'm really not terribly excited about my prospects for defending anything else. I'd kind of like to get in the way here. So I might decide to be a little bit cute and do something like this. And ordinarily I'd bid 4, but maybe they're cold for game, and if I bid 3, they'll screw up and bid 3 spades and pass it out when they're cold for plus 420 or plus 620, and they only get a plus 170. Worst score in bridge, or one of the worst anyway. Anyway, I digress. Let's see what's going to happen next. Well, guess who has 4 spades to go with ours? And does he have enough to go to game? Well, all I promised with my negative double was about 6, 7, 8 points. So let's not go crazy here. Probably just 3 spades is sufficient. I have a fit for you, partner. What do you want to do? And now East, playing along with the joke, hoping it'll go all pass, now just passes, if I can find it. There it is. And I'm not going to let this happen. I have limit raise values. Guess what? We're going to game, baby. There you go. And that's where this thing should end up. Pass, pass, pass. And where, let's see, north, pass. And east, gonna give up at this point. Well, yeah, they're not gonna go to 5 hearts. So sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. There it goes. So 4 hearts swish. And, I mean 4 spades, I'm sorry, 4 spades swish. You are where you want to be. And that's how you get there. Never forget that you always have to check the majors before you raise a minor, or make a limit raise, or even a game raise in a minor. Be careful. You have that negative double available here, and you must use it. And this is what it looks like. Well, let's see how much trouble we can get into on this hand. And I guarantee you we're going to get into some. Put your bidding boots on. Here we go. West was first to act and chose to pass. North opened one spade. East overcalled two hearts, and it's your turn. Let's see our values. 4, 8, 9, 10. That's limit raise territory, and we also have a doubleton in hearts, so we can add another point for that, assuming we have support, and we do. We have 3 spades, 3 card support, one of which is an honor in partner suit, and the other is a 9. Pretty good. So we have limit raised values. Shall we just bid 3 hearts with our fancy little Q bid that we now know how to do, and show a limit raise or better in the spade suit? Well, we could. It would look like this. And partner would have to figure it out from there. When it came back around to you, you would show that you just had the limit raise. Not anymore. Well, how does partner know when it gets back to him whether you have 3 card or 4 card support? Well, at this point, if this is how you play things, partner doesn't. Just knows 3+ cards in support and limit raise or better in support. If you would like to define things a little bit better, you could, I'm going to undo, if it'll let me, you could do something else. You could do this. Oh my goodness. In this particular case, you happen to have 4 cards in both of the minors, but you don't have to. This double, a negative double, is the start of your way of differentiating 4 card from 3 card limit raises or game raises. So you start with the limited double, the negative double, and we see how it works out from this point. West isn't going anywhere. North takes you at your word. I'm going to go ahead and put these on so you can see them. Come on. Here we go. North says, well, that's a negative double. I guess I'm going to have to do something here. I have a choice of bidding my 3 card club suit or rebidding my spades. I think I'm just going to rebid my spades and hope partner can take a joke. I don't have 6 of them, but they're pretty good spades, so why not? So we'll do this. I don't have any more than the minimum I showed, and I have 6 spades, or I'm just stuck for a bid. So play me for 6, but I might have 5. And East is going to go ahead and pass. This overcall. By the way, East's overcall is what you would kind of expect vulnerable. Possibly a little bit bigger. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. A couple of doubletons, 6 card suit. I'd say that's a reasonable overcall vulnerable at the 2 level. Don't you? I think so. Anyway, now is the time where you're suddenly going to raise your partner's spades to the 3 level. What in the world are you doing? Thinks partner over there. Do I have a crazy partner? Oh no, that's that 3 card limit raise. Okay, I got it. Okay, this is a trouble hand, and I'm showing you all 4 hands in this deal because, again, I think it would be more intelligible to you if I did that. So let's go on here. West passed. Our partner opened one heart, and our right-hand opponent bid spades. Wait, two spades? That's a jump. Wonder what's going on there. Let's find out. I'm going to click on that, and up will pop the explanation. Or you can just ask. Most people will who play duplicate bridge and play in a open game or in anything bigger than a 0 to 99er type game are going to know that this is a weak jump overcall. But I did write it down in here just to help you look at it and you make sure you get it in your brain housing group by seeing it and seeing it written and then hearing me talk about it. So East has made a weak jump overcall in spades, and I can turn that off just by clicking on it, and did. And it's now your turn. Well, do you have limit raised values in support of hearts rather? Yes, you have the 3 hearts, one of which contains a nice honor, and you have 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 high card points, plus a doubleton in diamonds, probably give you an extra one there. So you're in your 10 to 12-ish range with support, but it's 3 card support, not 4 card support. So you kind of have an option here. You can show that immediately, but you won't really be distinguishing between 3 and 4 card support. Partner's going to play you for 4 by bidding 3 spades. Well, actually, 3 spades here would put you automatically in game, so that's not possible. Well, okay, let's look at something else. Why don't we try our handy dandy forcing new suit? Aha! We have a club suit, and now it's going to, more likely than not, because West actually has some defensive values and doesn't want to further that preempt, we'll probably just pass. And your partner, more likely than not, will show his other suit. If I can find it here, 3 diamonds. And East has said all that he has to say with 2 spades and passes. And now it's your turn again. Well, if you had 4 card support and game forcing values, you would have for sure bid 3 spades, the Q bid, over 2 spades. But you don't. So now you can bid your 3 hearts, and partner's going to have to figure out whether this is a preference for hearts, showing 2 hearts and 1 diamond, or is it something else? Well, more likely than not, because you made the 3 club bid first, a forcing bid, and now you're bidding 3 hearts instead of rebidding your clubs or taking any other action, partner should play you for actual support in hearts rather than just a preference. Well, that takes care of interference with an overcall. In the next section, we'll talk about what happens when the right-hand opponent interferes with a takeout double. Kind of the same and kind of not the same. So you're going to want to watch that too and see the differences. See you then.